People just need to get in the game, own real estate, whether it's your personal residence and rental property and investment property. Just get in the game buying real estate, because now is always the best time to own and buy real estate. You don't have to invest in your backyard, right? The world is your playground, right? What you just need to do is focus on getting the strategies, getting the information, all right? And then you can go and implement that anywhere and start getting the benefits of owning real estate, where if it's rented, you get cash flow, you get appreciation, and you get depreciation on your taxes to save what you have to pay on taxes. So it's just amazing. Just get in the game, get the strategy.
Hello, everyone. This is Pam, your host of Café con Pam, the bilingual podcast exploring stories that inspire Latine and people of the global majority to embrace their voice, challenge Calladita Culture, and step into their power. At Café con Pam, we celebrate those who break barriers, change lives, and make the world a better place. El día de hoy, we have a conversation with real estate investor, mentor, father, and husband. Sayam Ibrahim built Hira Homes, and through it, they have transacted in over 1,400 real estate deals over the past 15 years. His portfolio is valued at over $250 million. He's built over 600 doors, including a recent acquisition in the past few years of a 71-room hotel in Calladita, Dominican Republic. And Sayam has helped thousands of people and showed them the ins and outs of real estate investing. Listeners, this conversation with Sayam was so fun because he really walked us through how he got into real estate and how he came actually from a different type of investing. I'm not going to give you a spoiler, but he transitioned from one form of investing into real estate investing. And I had a lot of fun asking a lot of questions and learning. And I even asked him, if we were to invest in real estate today, what would be the next step you would tell us? What would be the 3 steps you would give us to take action on? So if you're curious, if you're interested, if you're ready, if you've been thinking about real estate and you're wondering if this is for you, or maybe you have some misconceptions around, maybe you think you need to have a lot of money, maybe you think that you need to know a lot of things, this interview might be for you. Entonces, sin más, aquí está my conversation with Sayam Ibrahim. Sayam, welcome to Café con Pam.
It's my pleasure to be on. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. So the first question we always ask is, what is your heritage?
Yeah, so I'm actually mixed. I'm half Dominican and half Ethiopian, and born and raised in New York City and Jersey. I'm mixed. I have the best of both worlds.
How was it for you to grow up? Were your parents together?
Yeah, they were together until in my 30s. It was awesome because I got to experience both cultures, but it was awkward in the religion aspect because my father is Muslim, my mother is Catholic, so they both would love for us to have sided with them, and so we kind of teetered the middle, and it was but we did get to celebrate holidays from both sides, which is awesome.
For sure. That's interesting that neither of them converted to the other side.
Yeah, that was surprising because that's usually the case.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so they stayed with their own. And did you go to like both celebrations? Well, you said your holidays, but
that was the beautiful part of it, is that I got to get the benefit of both sides for that. But as far as like following the religious part of it, that sometimes would get a little bit awkward.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So you grew up in New York City, in New York and Jersey. And what was your first job?
My first job was working at McDonald's, actually, when I was 15, making $5.25 an hour.
Wow, you remember?
Yeah, I remember it. It's the lowest I've ever been paid, so I remember.
And how old were you when you got your first job?
15 years old.
Okay. And then from there, what happened? So you started working pretty young.
I started working pretty young, kept going to school. I wasn't raised with like a silver spoon, but my parents were very hard workers. My dad was a taxi driver for 21 years in New York City, who eventually opened up a small business in New Jersey. My mother was a hairstylist and did babysitting, and helped around the house. And
Dominican hair.
that's right, that's right. All right, Dominican doobies, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they both really wanted a great life for me and my two younger brothers.
Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest yet.
Mm.
They instilled in us hard work ethic, made us go to school. When my friends were out there playing basketball, they said, "No, read a book." Right? And then
Okay.
I remember crying about it at the time. And like when they were playing bicycle, they said, "Let's do some math equations." But it paid off because I ended up graduating from high school. I got a scholarship to Georgetown University. Um,
Nice.
and I became a Jackie Robinson scholar. So that was detrimental to my success. And eventually went to work on Wall Street. So worked at one of the big companies on Wall Street.
How did you know about Wall Street?
So going to Georgetown, one of the major tracks was to get into finance, and so everyone said, if you want to be a millionaire, you're going to work on Wall Street. You're going to work in corporate America. It's the best way to become wealthy. It's the best. It's the only way to become, and that's really what I thought. And coming from immigrant parents, that's what a lot of immigrant parents say.
Uh-huh.
Right, you go to school, you get a good job, and then you go become a doctor, or you go get a great corporate job, and that's what I thought I wanted. But I was miserable. On paper, I was successful. Right, I'm actually married to my high school sweetheart.
Oh, fun.
So I had an amazing girlfriend at the time. Lived in an awesome apartment. Made great money on Wall Street, but I was miserable. I worked 80 to 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah, and after a short period of time, my boss said, "Hey, can you come in for a short 10-hour work days on Sundays?"
a
Yeah,
short?
yeah,
No way.
yeah.
That's wild. How old were you at this time?
So mid 20s, 25, 24. And so I had energy, luckily, at the time, right?
Right.
And I was wanting to get married. I proposed to my girlfriend, my wife now, and I gave my boss a few months heads up notice, and told him that I was going to be taking some time off to get married to a honeymoon. And he said, "No problem." When the time came, I reminded him, and he said, "Hey, we're way too busy. You make too much money for the company. Do you think you reschedule your wedding?"
Oh my gosh. You can't
Yeah.
have a life because work is more important.
Exactly. So it was at that point in time, it was like the turning point for me, because at that point in time, I realized, you know what, this is not what I want to do for the next 20 years of my life. No matter how much money I can make in this track, I'll be miserable doing it. And I believe that, we work to live, not live to work, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I quit cold turkey Wall Street. I left the 6-figure job. Parents like practically disowned me because they were like, you're like killing your entire future. Everything we worked for, you're throwing it out, in the garbage. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went and started, finding, flipping cars, selling bikes, selling motorcycles, until I stumbled upon, actually my younger brother, Xavier, stumbled upon the house in Newark, New Jersey that was destroyed, surrounded by pretty houses. And he said, "Bro, we should buy this."
Okay, hold on. Because we want to break down that process.
Yeah.
You quit cold turkey. That's a big deal.
Yes.
I think you're the first of maybe. I quit my corporate job cold turkey. And I always tell people, don't do that.
Yeah, no, I said the same thing too.
Like, don't do as I did.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time I meet someone who's like, straight up quit. How long did it take for you to make that decision?
It was instantaneous, because I said, you know what, I want to get married. I don't want to reschedule. I don't want to live like this. Hey, I'm giving my notice.
But so you're an investor now, and
Mhm.
like the importance of negotiations. It didn't cross your mind to negotiate? Like, hold on. Or it was just like, I'm done. Was that like the last straw? Like the
I think it was last straw, because I actually I went to the hospital a couple weeks before that. I had migraines for 2 weeks, and they told me it was due to stress, and so
wow.
it was that. It was the canceling of the wedding. It was just the working 90
It was
hours a week.
compound.
Yeah, it was just compound. I was like, you know what? This is it. This is not what I want to do. I saw my boss that had been in the business for 20 years having to call in and say he can't make his kid's birthday party because he has a client meeting. And I was like, you make a lot of money, but life is too short. Your kid's not going to turn 6 again, right? Why would you miss that for a client meeting? Tell the client I got to meet you tomorrow, right?
Totally.
So I just realized it wasn't the environment I wanted to be in.
Do you think it had to do with how you grew up and and the upbringing of your family and your culture, that as a 20-something-year-old, you weren't trapped into the I don't know if it's greed, but, like, the hunger of, like, getting into that lifestyle of your boss?
Yeah, I think so. I grew up in a house that was very close. Cousins were always around. Uncles. Everyone was always around. We had any excuse for for a get together. We got together and
Mhm.
music's playing, having a great time. So I was always very close to my family. Even my brothers are my business partners in the real estate business. So
Nice.
both my brothers, my wife is in the business. My brother's wife's in the business. We've had cousins in the business at some point in time. So I'm very close to the family. So I think holding on to that, it was a big reason behind me making that move.
For sure. So, boss says, "You can't get married on this date. Too busy. Please postpone." And you're like, "I'm actually postponing my work. Bye."
Exactly. Exactly.
So you didn't give the 2 weeks?
I give notice. Yeah, I did. I
Okay.
said, hey, I'm giving my notice right now. And I think I'm gonna go a different direction. And I think the boss and everyone on the team wasn't mad. They kind of understood it. Because I think secretly,
They wanted that.
right, themselves, like saying you're the bold one for actually taking action upon it. But I think you're right. But we're all programmed to think that wealth and money is the most important thing in life. A lot of us are programmed that way, at least.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it's memories and it's actually living life that's more important. So I wasn't going to sacrifice that for the money.
So, to clarify, you didn't talk to anyone.
No.
That was just like a gut decision, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Nice. So then, how long did it take, or did you like, "Ooh, now I have to tell my family," for you to tell the family?
Yeah, no, I had I was afraid to tell, and when I told my dad's like, "All right, then you're going back to go to medical school." So me and him went back and forth a bunch of times, and then eventually he just got really mad. He's like, "You're throwing everything away. I didn't come to this country, work my butt off, and for you to just throw your opportunity away." But I think after a little bit of time and having success in real estate, he realized it wasn't a bad decision, and I think he
Mhm.
supports me. Obviously, now he supports me in this decision.
For sure. So you told dad. What did mom say?
Mom's always been the biggest supporter, so she's always been, whatever you believe, whatever makes you happy. I'm just here to make sure you live your best life.
What did girlfriend at the time say?
Girlfriend at the time understood because she also worked in finance.
Oh,
She
really?
didn't have the same kind of hours. She was in a different role, so she understood because I'd come home, I'd complain, I'd come home, take a shower, go back to work. Sometimes I didn't even have time to see her. So I made all this great money, but I had no time to spend it.
Right.
So I think she understood. She was understanding, and she said, "Look, whatever you want to do." Which, when you hear the rest of my story about the real estate, you'll realize she's the most amazing support that I have in life. So,
That's awesome. Okay, so you quit.
mhm.
You have 2 weeks. Do you do any type of planning, or like, what am I gonna do? Or you just kinda like head down, finish that? Like, what's the next process?
Yeah. So my dad at this time was selling cars. Right? I told you he went to
Mhm.
his business in Jersey. He was selling cars. So I went to him and I said, "Hey, Dad, You mind if I work with you selling some cars for a little bit?" And he said, "Yeah, but you're not going to stay here. This is not what I want you to do." Right. Um,
I'll get you off your feet, but then on you.
Yeah. So I went with him, started selling cars, flipping motorcycles. Had a little bit of savings, so I would buy the cars and resell them myself.
Mm.
And and then uh, he was doing well in his business. He was doing fine, but I put some systems into his business and really took his business to the next level. So I ended up staying there for probably about a little over a year, as a little longer than I was anticipating. But I was able to really help his business out because I added systems, added youth to it, right?
Mhm.
And it helped on the sales part of it. But then, like I told you, my brother, a few blocks away from the dealership, actually found a house in Newark, New Jersey, on Thomas Street, and it was a beat up home that was being squatted by homeless people. They stole the copper on the house. It was just a rough property, but it was surrounded by beautiful homes around it. It
Wow.
was a vacant house on a block with a bunch of nice homes. And so we didn't know what a deal was. We didn't know if it was a good deal, but my brother was like, we got to buy this, bro. Because they said, we got to buy this. This looks like a good deal. It's surrounded by nice houses. Let's buy it. I was like, how am I going to buy it? I don't have the money for this. All right, you got a bunch of money renovating it. So we ended up saying, let's give it a shot. We put it in contract. We asked everyone from, friends, family, my dad, everyone, hey, can I borrow 2,000? Can I borrow 1,000? Can you lend me this money? In the end, we put the money together. My brother got a title loan on his car.
How much was this house?
It was 45 grand.
Okay.
45 grand. And we got the money together. We bought it. We renovated it. We did half the work ourselves and did a crappy job. I'll admit that now. Okay.
Knowing what you know.
Yeah. And then we sold it and we made $60,000.
So how did you know that was possible to do? Was it your brother that was kind of like?
So yeah, he was pushing me towards it. I loved watching those flip shows on TV, right? On A&E and HETV. I love watching all those flip shows. So I was actually probably addicted to watching those shows, and so was he. Because whenever we had some free time, I'd pop it on and watch an episode. And so I think knowing that other people were doing it, we're like, let's give this a shot too. People are making money. Let's give it a shot. So it was complete luck. We had no systems. I didn't know what it was going to sell for. I didn't know how to renovate it. I didn't know how to estimate the repairs. We got luck and we made 60 grand.
That's very BIPOC driven. Like, let's just get a little bit from everyone. Like, let's borrow someone. So you borrowed, you put title loan, some things, and you got the 45,000 together.
We got the 45,000 together.
Were people like, you're out of your mind?
Yeah, everyone said, I hope you succeed, right? Because I want my money back. But but it wasn't a large amount where I didn't take 50,000 from one person or 30,000. It was a small amount. They're like, look, I hope you succeed soon, so I get my money back.
How did you keep track?
Put a spreadsheet together.
Nice.
But we did that, and it was successful. And we thought we were going to be overnight millionaires from this.
Right.
And the next deal wiped us across the face.
So it was the second deal that was the hardest. Typically, it's the first one, right?
The second one was the hardest, yes.
Okay.
Yes. It literally lost everything we made on the first deal. And
no.
Yep.
How did it work? So you sell the one, you buy 45, you buy for 45, you make 65, you pay the 45 back.
Yep.
You have a little bit, a little chunk to buy the next one. That's typically how it works. And then?
And I use something called hard money, which is here to give us. They lend money to real estate investors that want to buy investment properties. So they lend on properties that regular banks wouldn't normally, right? Yes. So we used hard money. We got the deal. We bought it. We listened to a realtor that didn't necessarily have our best interest in heart and didn't really and wasn't an expert in this space. Realtor said we're going to sell the property for $250 if we buy it. We bought it for $200. We sold it for $200. Sorry. The realtor said we're going to spend $30,000 renovating it. Ended up costing $80,000 to renovate the house. Yeah, termite damage throughout. And then obviously the hard money, the extended holding costs, ended up losing $75,000 in the second deal. Yeah.
So how do you keep going? Because especially the second deal. You could our brains make up a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy. It would be very easy to be like, well, the first one was kind of a fluke. The second one is it's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, it actually put me into sort of a depression. I had my first baby on the way.
Oh, yeah. As this is happening?
Yes. So in my mind, I'm supposed to be bringing money to the household, not taking money away, and I have no insurance because I quit my job. Right? It was just a bad scenario. I have an amazing wife, and she said, "Look, get up. Don't sulk. Don't sulk. There's nothing that's going to happen by you just sitting here and being in your thoughts, right? If you want to do this again." Because I told her that I wanted to try it again, right? Well, I was bold. But if you want to do this again, I think you need to go out and find someone that's already doing this and learn from them because you clearly don't know what you're doing right now. But I support you if you decide you want to try this again because I know you can do it.
Okay.
That gave me the strength to go out and find someone. I found a guy that had been doing this for 10 plus years. I lashed on to him. He showed me how to find off-market real estate. He showed me how to finance deals, taught me about creative financing, taught me how to analyze the after repair value of the properties. And then from then forward, it was a complete jump start to our career. Because we ended up doing 19 real estate deals the following year, 45 the year after that. So we just scaled very fast. And So, for your audience that doesn't know me, because I'm only now getting on social media. I spent the last almost 15 years building my real estate business and not really promoting myself online.
Yeah.
Right? I was actually, my head was down in the business, just building it, and now I'm getting online. We've done over 1,300 real estate transactions.
I love that.
We've transacted over $250 million in real estate, and we built a rental portfolio with over 600 doors. Valued over $80 million. We even have a hotel in the Dominican Republic because I wanted
I
to go back
saw
to.
that. I want to talk about that. But let's backtrack a little. So, okay, you have all this knowledge from Wall Street. Why didn't you go back to the stock market?
That's a good question. I think I was just burned out with that whole.
Mm,
Sometimes when you do something and you're just tired of it, and you don't want to even see it anymore. I think that was kind of what was going through. So that could have been another option, but I didn't. I ended up not doing that, and I still don't even mess with stocks. Right?
really?
Yeah, I think I was just traumatized with that whole scenario.
Like at all?
Not at all. Not at
Oh
all.
my gosh. That's bad. You must have been like really burnt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for some people, it's like that could be kind of like a way to s- get your startup money in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Day trading and just buying and holding. And if you do it right, you can make a lot of money.
But you're like, we're out of that business.
Yeah, I don't personally like the stock market. I don't personally like crypto. I know a lot of people talk about this right now, and it's like big waves about it online. And since the pandemic, there's all these day traders that are coming out. Although I personally don't like those things because it's too volatile.
Mm,
Right? One day I know tons of people that one day they're bragging they're on top of the world. I got this, I got that. I have this much in stocks or this much in crypto, and then 3 months later I see them and they're crying, right? Because it all just tanked. It's too volatile.
I got all my NFTs stolen,
Yes,
like
you
thousands of dollars.
exactly, and that was outside of your control, right? So
And there's no regulation.
yeah,
So it's like you can't tell anyone, anything because they're like,
exactly. I believe in real estate because it's a real asset, right? You see it. You can't. It's not going anywhere. People need it, and there's literally wars going on right now, right? Over real estate, over land, right? So it's not going anywhere. It's only getting more and more valuable.
agreed. I have one door.
All right, let's go. Let's get to number two.
We're getting there. But I have a partner who's very risk averse. And so I think I just need to just do it myself, which, I know nothing about it, but you can always learn.
Okay.
Okay, so you go to this guy who knows the business
Mhm.
and you're like, "Hey, I want to learn." And you learn all the things. If you were to go back to your second deal, what would you do different?
I wouldn't have bought it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a bad deal. I listened to what someone told me, and didn't verify. You know that whole saying, trust but verify.
Yes.
That's what I should have done. I could have got an appraisal.
Oh, you didn't.
I didn't. The lender was lending based off of uh, the lender was safe, so they weren't so concerned with the value of it based off what they were lending out. So they didn't do the extra due diligence, or I didn't do the extra diligence because of that. So I trusted the realtor. I thought he was a professional, and ended up not being what I thought. So I would not done the deal.
Dang. So let's get a little granular because I think like it's really cool to see, you went the next year 19 properties, like but like in the moment, you lost a ton of money. How are you living?
So I while I was doing that, I was still also buying and selling the cars on the side. So I was doing that to kind of supplement. And my wife kept her job. So in a short period of time, she went on maternity leave. But at that point in time, she was still working. So she was kind of like my rock and our stability while I was out there building what ended up being my real estate business.
So you still had because I want to make sure the listeners are like, you throw everything out the window and then, like you want to make sure that there's some stability
Yeah, of course.
somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely helps, but for me at least, quitting cold turkey, me put my back against the wall, and I
Mhm.
said, you need to succeed. It's a succeed or fail, right? And sometimes that pressure, at least for certain people, works to help you get to your goals. But that's not how I recommend it for everybody. Right? My recommendation for the people that come to me and say, hey, I want to get into real estate, I want to buy investment properties, I says, hey, make it a side hustle, right?
Mhm.
Buy some properties if you want to flip, buy some properties if you want to rent them, if you want to do Airbnbs, whatever your heart desires. And as your side hustle starts equating to your main hustle's income, then you can start deciding, let me see if I want to focus on the side hustle and go all in on that. And that's what I tell people typically. Don't do what I did.
Yes. It's
It
very
worked for
stressful.
me, but don't do what I did.
Yeah. Okay, so you're learning from this guy, teaching you all the things. You implement systems. You know how to now look at deals. You can math the math. And then what's your next deal?
Yeah. So the next deal coming out of that was another fix and flip, but it was an extensive renovation in Highland Park, New Jersey, and I didn't even have to put it in the market. A buyer came in before I even finished and said they wanted it, and they actually I did some of the finishes to their liking.
Nice.
So that one was successful, and then we kept just being successful, and I was eventually introduced to the Midwest, which I fell in love with.
What part of the Midwest?
Columbus, Ohio specifically.
My house is in Missouri.
Okay, Midwest is phenomenal. I think anywhere in the Midwest is a great place to
I
invest.
agree.
Um, so he was buying a commercial strip center for extremely cheap. And I said, that I don't believe that. That's not possible. And he said, hey, come take a look at it if you want it. So I booked the flight, went same day. And in that same week, ended up buying a duplex
There.
for $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I rented that place for $1,200.
Nice.
So I got my money back, right, very, very fast. And, the neighbor asked me if I wanted to sell. And I said, sure. What would your offer be? He said, I'll give you $48,000. And I said, sold?
Yeah.
Right? Already got my money back on the rent, paid, a fraction of what he was offering. I mean, in retrospect, I'm a big believer in buying and holding.
Yes.
Because, every property I've ever sold has always been worth much more later on. Right. And I'm like, why did I sell it? But in the middle of it, when you need the cash, right? When you need to circle the money, you need to cycle the money, you need to grow, I completely understand it. But after you've gotten to a certain point, I'm a big believer in just buying and holding, which is kind of our model now.
Totally. And that was going to be the next question actually is how did you decide to not hold and sell instead? Is because you needed the cash.
I needed the cash. I needed the cash to do the next project, I didn't, I wasn't born with a silver spoon and had a bunch of money like handed to me. So I needed to bootstrap and build the business. But now we still do sell. All right. We still do sell stuff and we still do flip stuff. We still do new construction. But the bulk of our business is buying and holding.
So you start like going trickle effect domino. You just like start making it happen.
Yes.
And your next year, you close with 19 doors.
Correct.
Is there any point when you're like, what is happening? Like it's actually working.
Yeah. I was, yeah. Even to this day, I'm shocked. I'm like, I can't believe that we did all this. So, yeah, I think what I've really thought was the difference between my success and maybe failing was getting a mentor, right? And I think that's what I attribute a lot of my success to. I got a mentor group that had already walked the steps that I wanted to walk, and so when I had questions, when I had issues, when I had stuff I didn't face, I would schedule a call with them or send them an email or send them a text message, and they already went through it.
For sure. It makes such a difference
Absolutely.
because so I bought my first house when I was 21 and then I lost it in the recession. And I didn't have obviously any mentor. Like literally knew nothing, but I wanted to buy houses. And then it took a long time, over a decade. And my best friend got into wholesaling. So maybe we can talk about the different terms of all the things because people might not be familiar with it. But she was like, I think you can do it again and we can help you. And it makes that's my next house. That's the one door that I have is because they were able to be like, we've done it. When they helped me, they had like 40 doors at the time. And so they had a system kind of like what you're talking about. And it was so much easier to just be like, I wanted to sell that house like so many times. And she was like, I promise you it's a good deal. I promise.
Yeah, of course, of
And
course.
so it's still there and it's being rented right now and it's super fun. And so to your point, I agree 100%. It's super important to get mentors. And I think for Latinos and for people of the global majority, it's hard to ask for help
Yeah,
because typically people that look like us are the ones that are like the hard workers and we've been socialized to just like get the thing done. And so it's really hard to ask for help. So what would you say to people that are like, I can figure it out?
Look, you can go the hard way, all right, or you can go the easy way or the easier way.
Mm-hmm.
The hard way is you trying to figure it out, and you will probably get to your goal. All right, you will probably get to your goal, but it might take you 3, 4, 5 times the amount of time. If you find someone that is already doing the business and you verify that they're doing the business, right? I say this all the time. If you want to get a mentor, if you want to get a coach, ask them for specifically with real estate. Let's just say,
Mm-hmm.
ask them for their HUDs, ask them for their closing statements, ask them to see properties they're doing, and actually make sure they're doing the business, and then latch onto them and learn everything you can. Right? The information, information is amazing, but with that information, you also have to implement it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason why I say that, ask them for the proof, is because I see so many people that are not really doing the business. They're big on social media. They've got these huge presences and they've got huge followings, and they might have done 5 deals or 10 deals.
Right.
And you're not an expert at anything when you've done 5, 10 deals. I mean, when I did 50 deals, I was still learning. Right? When I did 100, I was still learning. I still learn to this day. So make sure that whoever you want to follow, or whatever guru or whatever coach you want to follow, is verified. And once that's the case, it's the best way to get to your goal in the least amount of time.
Okay, so let's take a quick coffee break.
Sure.
So, do you drink coffee?
I love coffee.
Tell me, how do you drink your coffee?
So I like my coffee sweet, right?
Okay.
I like my coffee sweet. So I'm a creamer kind of guy. But every day I drink coffee, sometimes 2 or 3 cups. So I'm actually jealous. I'm sitting in my hotel room right now in Minneapolis. And as soon as we get off this, I'm going to go downstairs and get a coffee.
And get some coffee.
Yes.
So how do you brew it at home?
So growing up, I always my mother and my grandmother always made in the little metal containers on the stove.
Greca? Yeah.
And so I'm partial to that. But back home I just have a regular, like one of those Keurig machines. So I'm modernized.
Quick and easy.
Too busy to go the long way, but you can't replace that.
Totally. Where are you based now? In Florida?
So I live in Fort Lauderdale. But we do business in multiple states. So we have a couple apartment buildings in Minneapolis, which we're now converting to condos. So I'm here to check on the projects.
Nice.
We've got projects in most of our projects are in Ohio. We have stuff in Georgia and Florida. And so I kind of bounce around every once in a while to kind of just check on progress.
Do you visit coffee shops as you travel?
Always. I know every single coffee shop and every city I go to.
So give a shout out to a local coffee shop, whichever one comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite coffee shops is in Columbus, Ohio, and it's called Stauf's Coffee, Stauf. All right, Stauf's Coffee.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Some of the best coffee that I've ever had. Another one is Cafe Brioso. All right, or Brioso, in Columbus, Ohio. Amazing. Right. So everywhere I go, there's a good coffee shops, but those are 2 of my favorites.
I love it. On my end, I am actually drinking cacao.
Okay.
I've been in this like cacao obsession lately. I'm going to start hosting cacao circles. I've been like in this rabbit hole of cacao and the history of cacao and how it became cocoa and chocolate eventually.
Yeah.
But in reality, cacao was actually like a very ceremonial drink, still is.
Mhm.
And it used to be currency.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so like the cacao beans used to be the coins that the Mayans used.
Wow.
And there's actually a script from Christopher Columbus that when he was stealing one of the boats from the Mayans, in one of his journals, he says they were dropping these almond-like things and they were so concerned about losing them, like they were losing an eye, and it was the cacao beans. And so, yeah, I'm not giving up coffee, but cacao is my next love.
So you're a history buff.
Well, I have ADHD, and so I know a lot of very random facts about random things. This is fun. But so yeah, I'm drinking cacao today, and I've been doing it for a couple of weeks, months maybe now, and it's like my morning ritual, and it helps me ground and get connected, and it's super fun.
Well, it's actually pretty healthy, right? When you don't
Hmm.
put all the sugar in it, it's actually pretty healthy. So
I know.
I like it with the sugar.
I understand. I understand. The chocolate, another fact that you didn't ask for, chocolate comes from chocolatl, which is in Nahuatl, and it means, according to what I read, so quote me, people that speak, if it's wrong, but it means bitter water.
Bitter water.
Hmm. And it was actually the cacao drink was made for the kings and the queens and the emperors and like
That's awesome.
I know all the things you don't know you don't want to know.
Yeah, those are cool facts, right? I'm gonna go now and test my wife and my kids and see if they know these things.
Yes, awesome. Okay, let's get back to the show. Let's talk about something we all deserve: financial empowerment. Whether you're tackling debt, planning for retirement, or starting that dream business, navigating your finances can feel overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be, thanks to Savvy Ladies. Savvy Ladies is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping women like you take control of your financial future. They offer free resources, webinars, and my favorite, a free financial helpline where you can connect one on one with trusted financial experts. And yes, it's completely free. Whether you're just starting your financial journey or need guidance on a specific challenge, Savvy Ladies is here to provide quality and trusted advice you can count on. So why wait? Visit savvyladies.org today and connect with the financial helpline to get the personalized support you deserve. Your journey to financial independence starts here. That is savvyladies.org. Your path to financial freedom can start today. Sam, so you start making things happen. You're closing deals, head down, going for the next one. And so you're partner with your brothers? This whole
Yes.
time you were.
Yeah, in the beginning was just my middle brother Xavier, and then the younger brother is younger by many years. But as he started getting older, he came onto the team. So I'm the CEO, so I kind of handle finances and structuring deals, and Xavier's in charge of acquisitions, of finding
Okay.
new property and negotiating and putting them in contract.
I mean, he found the first one.
That's right. That's right. And Emil is the one who supervises construction because he has a construction background.
Okay.
We've since added more partners. I have another partner, Jonah, who's is a brother from another mother who does property management for us. And then we've got other businesses as well. So we've got other partners, but that's like the immediate core.
How is it to do business with family?
It's okay. It's great. It's great in that you have people you can trust, right? I
Mm.
can blindly trust my brothers. I know they're not. I know they're not going to do anything. I can blindly trust Jonah. I know he's not doing anything. The negative part is we have the same fights that families have, right? So we have the arguments, and so when we have these family arguments, it does bleed over into the business. And my brother's like, "Oh, we need to talk about this." It's like, "I don't want to talk to you," right? Because we had an argument at home, right, or something like that.
Right.
So, but it's overall, it's been great.
In the beginning, how did you decide how you're going to split the company? Or not split it, but like responsibilities at least?
I think it just happened naturally, right? So I come from the finance background. Xavier comes from the sales background.
Mm.
Emil comes from the construction background.
So you had like the perfect trifecta?
Yeah, it just kind of like flowed into place.
I love it. And how did the wives come in the picture?
Yeah, so my wife didn't always work with us. She was working with another company, so she was on the dark side before, and then she came to the good side. But we needed help and I wanted people we can trust. So my wife is in charge of a lot of the finance stuff in the background. So making sure that she's in charge of the contractors payments and so she's essentially supervising accounts payable and stuff like that. So she's awesome in that she's very organized, which where I'm not. All right. And so that helps a lot. My brother's wife helps with the leasing. She's a realtor. She helps with leasing out our units. So everyone kind of just fit their role based off their personalities and filled voids that we had in the business. So it was beautiful.
At what point did your dad say, okay, you don't have to go to med school anymore?
I think to this day, he still says you should have gone to med school.
Yeah?
Yeah. He said he should have had a son as a doctor. He should have gone to med school.
I mean, that's very African, I think.
Yes,
Every African family wants to have a doctor in their
very
family.
so. A doctor engineer.
Yes. But he's now proud of like all the
Of
things.
course. Of course.
Okay, so I'm gonna like jump very much back to the beginning. But you quit your job. Did you get married when you wanted to?
Yeah, and then just doing the marriage as normal.
Okay. And you went on your honeymoon and all the
Went
things.
on the
Even
honeymoon.
though you didn't have income?
Yeah, I was using some savings that I had, so I was blowing through it. Um,
Okay.
but I didn't want to postpone it. Right, I'd been with my wife right at that time, or girlfriend at the time, right? I think 8 years, 9 years. So high school sweethearts. So I was ready for it.
I love it. Congratulations. I love that. I love hearing stories of like couples that their last like all the things. So, to bring it back to the present, now you've done all these transactions, you have all these doors, all the things. What is it that you do now?
Yeah, so we still run the real estate business. We're still actually in the business. But real estate's what pays our bills and what and how we live our lifestyle. But my passion now is in actually coaching and mentoring. So we started Here Homes University. We have a couple partnerships with that, and we've been doing it now for a little over a year. I've been coaching for longer than that and mentoring, but we started our own coaching and mentorship program about a little over a year ago, and it's gone phenomenal. Right, we've helped tons of people buy their first, second, and even their third investment properties. I'm very proud in it. I'm passionate about it. And I get more fulfillment seeing my students and my mentees close a deal than I do buying another house myself. So this is I think where our future goes. So we're doing that. The two focuses going forward are on lifestyle investing, so investing where we want to go, buying hotels in places we want to be, and on growing the university side of the business.
Ooh, I'm interested about the lifestyle investing. So, for the listeners, because we have people listening from different backgrounds, from different upbringings. The majority of the people that listen to Cafe con Bam don't have a trust fund. And so if someone's like, cool, when you started, you could buy a house for $45,000. You can't do that now. What would you say?
You can still do it in many parts of the country. You need to go to certain places. You don't have to invest in your backyard, right?
Mm-hmm.
The entire world is your playground, right? What you just need to do is focus on getting the strategies, getting the information, all right? And then you can go and implement that anywhere. So in the Midwest, there's tons of opportunities for that price. In parts of Maryland, tons of opportunities for that price. Even in parts of Northern Florida, tons of opportunities for that price. In Georgia, you can go to, tertiary markets and don't have to be in the main cities and get amazing deals and amazing properties that are still going to appreciate. They're still going to cash flow. They're still going to make you great money. So you can still do that. But for those people that are starting off and don't have a lot of money to get started, I would probably recommend that they start off in wholesaling real estate. You had brought up a term before.
Mm-hmm.
So wholesaling is when you focus on finding good off market real estate deals. So you find sellers and you negotiate with them, and you build a list of buyers, people like me, people like you that want to buy a property. You said you want to buy your second one, right? And you get that list and you find out what they want. You say, all right, Sam, what are you looking for? I say, all right, I want to buy a hotel. Okay, great. So let me go find you that hotel. And you go market to sellers, find that amazing deal that I'm looking for, and you put that deal together. I buy it, and you make a nice fee for putting that whole deal together,
Like a commission.
like a commission, except you're not a realtor, right?
Right. Right.
So that fee can be, 5,000, it could be 50,000, it could be 300,000, depending on the side of the deal. So don't think because you're, being a wholesaler, you can't make big fat profits. You can still do it. And you get paid quickly, which is nice. You don't have to wait for the deal to finish to get sold. So I highly recommend people start there. They start doing wholesale deals, getting their money right, getting their cash right. And then you can start going to fix and flipping or building new. And eventually I think everyone should be in buying and owning real estate, just holding.
And holding for the listeners is rentals.
Correct. Correct.
So like my one house is a buy and hold.
That's correct. That's good.
So there's so many ways to invest in real estate. And I think what I see when I tell people like I have one house, they're like, how did you do it? Because the idea of home own, and I rent. I still rent in California. I don't know if I'll ever buy in California. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. But it's this, I think what we've been socialized is to have this like quote American dream of you buy the house you're gonna live in, and that's the house that you buy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people kind of like have the awareness that you can buy houses outside, like you said, outside of where you live
Absolutely.
and still rent and it be a good deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The entire world's your playground. But another thing that I think a lot of people need to pay attention to is sometimes buying your first house to live in is your first deal,
Yes.
right? There's amazing loopholes, right, for people that want to buy their first house. You get great financing. There's grants out there, so you can literally buy it with little to no money out of pocket. You've got FHA financing, which allows you to buy a house with 3% down. You can get seller credit, so that 3% can become 1%, right?
Mm.
So a seller can give you credit towards closing costs or some of your helping with your down payments. And the beautiful thing is that if you buy a home and you live in it, if you live in there for 2 years and a day, you can resell that house for up to $500,000 in profit, right? Tax free, and use that money now to buy another house or two houses.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people just need to get in the game, own real estate, whether it's your personal residence and rental property and investment property. Just get in the game buying real estate, because now is always the best time to own and buy real estate.
I agree. So for the people that are like, all right, you convinced me. How much money do I need?
To buy real estate?
To get started. So somebody's like, all right, fine. I'll get into this real estate game.
Yeah, I mean, I think for someone that wants to get started, you really don't need a lot of money. Like I said, there's a lot of creative financing techniques that you can use to get into real estate. If you want to go the traditional route and just buy a rental property, you're going to put 20% down, right? On whatever. So that just what you need is, depending on which market you want to buy. However, if you want to use hard money to buy an investment property, do the BRRRR strategy where you buy it, renovate it, refinance it. You can put 10% down, right, on a property and buy it. But here's the beautiful thing: that 10% can come from you, or it can come from other people too. So you don't necessarily always need to use your own money. You can get friends, family, coworkers to give you 1,000, 2,000 here, and then you have the money to do that deal, and you pay them when you refinance it off. You pay them back. There's creative financing where you can make the seller your lender. So one way we bought a lot of our rental properties is we go in and we find people that own the property for a long time, retiring landlords, right? And we say, hey, Mr. Seller, you've owned this property for 30 years. You paid 30 grand for this house 30 years ago. I'm going to offer you $100,000 for this house today. Now I put a little bit of money into this home and it's worth $200,000, right? I'm just
Mm-hmm.
giving you rough numbers just to kind of put in perspective. Um, but I'm gonna give you 80% of my purchase price today. I'm gonna get a bank. I'm gonna get 80% of that money today, right? You don't have to manage this property anymore. You don't have to worry about tenants. You are making money at this $80,000, but I'm gonna ask you to finance the 20% down payment for the next 5 years. Right now, why would they want to do this? One, they get rid of their management problems, right? So a lot of people, sometimes it's work managing properties.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they get to make money already at the purchase price that I'm paying them and at what they're getting from the bank. Three, they get interest on the down payment that they're financing for me. So they get a little bit more money than what we're talking about. And four, they get to defer any taxes on the money they haven't received. That 20%, they can defer the taxes on that. So it's a win-win for everybody. Now, not everybody's going to do this, but quite a few will, right? Quite a few will, especially when their cost is so low. So you can literally walk into that deal with no money out of pocket, or call it closing costs on the purchase of that deal, right? So that and start getting the benefits of owning real estate, where if it's rented, you get cash flow, you get appreciation, and you get depreciation on your taxes to save what you have to pay on taxes. So it's just amazing. Just get in the game, get the strategies, and these are the kind of things actually we teach people in our Hero Homes University.
For sure. So we're going to play a game. So I have 5,000. Let's start less. I have $1,000
Okay.
and I want to get into real estate.
hmm
What are the 3 things I need to do
If you have $1,000 and you want to get into real estate, I'd spend that $1,000 on marketing to get seller leads, right? To find good leads
for wholesaling?
for wholesaling. Right. So I target probably one or two different direct motivated sellers. One would be people delinquent on their taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you own real estate, you got to pay property taxes. And, if you don't pay the property taxes, they'll auction the properties. So this
Mm-hmm.
is all public knowledge. You can go to the tax collector and find out people that are delinquent. And I'd get that list, skip trace that list, which getting the owner's contact information is what skip tracing is. And then I'd start texting them, calling them, sending them direct mail, whatever that may be. Once you've gotten some sellers that respond to you, that say they're ready to sell, right? Now You go try to find buyers for those properties. And you can do that by going to Facebook.
And you don't need a real estate license.
You don't need a real estate license for this.
I think that's a myth, a
Exactly.
misconception there.
Go to Facebook. And on Facebook, look for real estate investment groups in whatever market that property is. So if it's in San Diego, you go to San Diego real estate investment groups. I can guarantee you there's probably 5, 6, 7 of
Yes.
them with thousands of people in there.
Yes.
Right. And you start posting that house in those groups. If it's a good deal, someone's going to bite on it and you're going to make a nice fat profit as a result.
If I have $10,000.
I do the same thing and just scale and put some towards having someone coach you so you can scale this faster.
Okay. So wholesaling, you think it's the entry point?
I think entry point is wholesaling. And then once you've done a few wholesale deals, you understand how to analyze property. I'm a big believer in just going in and start building your portfolio, start buying real estate.
So fun. Tell us all the places and spaces where we can find you.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. So it's iam.sayam. So IAM period SAYAM. I'm also on Facebook, Sayam Ibrahim. And I'm also on TikTok. Iam.sayam, same one. But what I do want to do is I want to offer your people a free a course on how to get funding for real estate.
Fun.
All they have to do is text HERO to 689-215-7664, and they'll get access to my course on funding and raising finance for real estate, so you can at least get into the game and get started with in real estate.
I love it. We'll have it in the show notes so you don't have to frantically grab a pencil or a pen to write it down. How fun. So what's next for you?
What's next? I'm going to go grab a coffee right now. Right?
Yes.
And look at my apartment buildings. But what's next for me is I did 2025. I'm going all in on the university, so it's going to scale. We have some strategic partnerships with Angela E and some other people. We're starting the Wealth Wednesdays Real Estate Club. And in that Wealth Wednesdays Real Estate Club, we're showing people, we're building a community of people to just go out and buy real estate together.
Where's that?
So it's all virtual. It's all virtual. If you want access to that, you can actually text to the same number and you can get access to it. And that same number, you're just texting wealth to that same number.
So hero or wealth?
So hero, to get access to the free course, text wealth to 689-215-7664 to get access to the club. Hopefully you text and you come join too.
I will. Because I want to end 2025 with 2 more doors. I think it's possible. Maybe 3, maybe 5. I don't know. You finished with 19.
Very, very reasonable. Very, very reasonable. You will be able to do it.
Okay, we'll talk. But thank you so much. Last few questions that we ask. What's your remedy? Do you have a remedio?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one that I'm not even sure if it works, but I've been having done since I was a kid. So I've always had a lot of ear infections when I go in the pools and things like that. And my mother puts garlic and olive oil in my ear.
And it works.
And it works. It works. At least maybe it's just mentally doing it. I don't know if it's really feeling what's in there. But that, and then of course the old Latino vapor rub on everything that you do.
Of course.
But those are some of the remedies that I've grown up with.
Love it. And do you have a quote or mantra you live by?
Yes. A couple years back, I heard this, and it's actually a quote from the Dalai Lama. If you think you can, if you think you can't, you're right. How you approach anything has a big impact as to if you will be successful or not. If you approach it with a positive attitude, you're that much more likely to get it. But if you approach it saying this is impossible, I can't do it, you've already shot yourself at the gate, right? So you've already stopped yourself. Your mind has a huge influence as to how you do things. So if you think you can, if you think you can't, you're right.
So good. One last question about the moment when so I talk about the Calladita Culture wounds, the 5 wounds of Calladita Culture, and you shared in your questionnaire about the realizing that you had kind of like code switched when you were in corporate, and then once you came out of corporate, you're like, now I can be fully me. How did that feel?
And so when I was on Wall Street, I was one of the few, there was very few minorities, Latinos, and African Americans there. So you always had to hide your culture to some degree. You had to fit in, and it's a good old boy network if you want to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just that much more reason why I wanted to get out of there, right? Now, for those people that are doing it and they're fine with it, more power to you. But I just didn't want to hide, I have a strong culture, I have a strong background. I come from two very, very powerful cultures.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to hide that and suppress it to make other people happy. But now I wear it, right? I've got Dominican Republic sneakers. Okay,
Nice.
I've got Ethiopian flag sweaters. I wear it proudly, and I think that we all should, because we all come from a long line of people that suffered to get us where we are, and let's not suppress that.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. Very last question. I just have so many questions, but um, how different was to get a hotel? Because I said I wanted to talk about this hotel that you have, right?
For sure. So I always wanted to invest back in the roots, and so we wanted to invest in DR, and we wanted to invest in Ethiopia eventually, which is going to come eventually. So we bought that hotel, targeting the same exact lead strategy I just told you. It was a retiring landlord, someone that owned it for 20, 25 years.
So it's a very local hotel.
It's just a bigger, yeah, just bigger. Same thing, just more zeros behind it, right? He was tired. He was sick, and
Mm,
he let the place get run down and get dilapidated. So we stumbled upon that deal, and we structured creative financing, did seller financing. We raised some private money from other people. We put some money ourselves, and we bought it and we renovated. We paid 2 million. We put about $1 million in renovation and holding costs to date, and it doubled in value. So it was a great investment, and it's something that we're going to keep long term. And we're looking to buy other hotels now in areas that we want to be.
yes, I love that.
Going forward, lifestyle investing. I love going to Puerto Rico. Let's go get a hotel in Puerto Rico. We
Oh,
make
Puerto
money
Rico is
on
one of
it.
my favorite.
Yes, we make money on it. We get to stay there when we want to stay there. Host events there. I mean, it's just awesome,
Mm,
right? And there'll be others behind that coming as well.
I love that. How fun. I'm gonna buy. I'm from Mexico City,
Hmm.
and so one of my goals is to get an apartment in Mexico City. So when I go, I don't go to my dad's house. I go to my place, and then it can be the Cafe con Pam casita.
Let's do it. I'm happy to help you with that process if you need help.
Yes, of course. I'll be reaching because listeners ask for help. That's I think one of the underlining themes for this interview is ask for help.
That's right.
Well, Sayam, thank you so much for coming to Cafe con Pam, sharing all the things,
My pleasure.
and thank you for sharing your story. So inspiring.
Thank you for having me on. Have a great day, guys.
You too. All right, listeners. That was my conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I could have asked a lot more questions. I was also left with so many more questions from that conversation. Maybe Sam will agree to come back. Maybe we can bring another real estate investor because, as one I am, because I share that I have one door at the moment. I'm also curious to explore other investor stories, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. I have one specific in mind. She actually lives in San Diego. I think you know who you are. And I actually invited her, and we just need to close the deal, pun intended. Pero for now, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this episode. I would love to hear you on social media. If you want to screenshot and tag us, tag both of us, you want to comment on the episode once we promote it. I do want to know if you wish I asked something else. And don't forget, we do have a place for listener questions. So you can literally go to the link in the show notes where you can ask a question. If you have a specific question, whether it's for me or for a guest, or whatever, a thought that you want to tell me that you may not feel comfortable telling me through a DM and maybe you want it to be anonymous, that's your place. Of course, let's stay connected on social at Cafe con Pan Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so, so much for being here today. If you're curious about all the things that we do at Cafe con Pan, we have many more stories. cafeconpam.com. That's where you can check out everything else. I do want to send some thoughts to those of you who have been affected in the LA fires. It's still as of the time of this recording, is still something that's very prevalent. I want to send all my thoughts and go back to the last 2 episodes, listen to Calms, and hopefully you received some support from that, and sending all my best. Thank you so much for listening. Como siempre, sigue brillando. Sabrosura pa' ti que